Thanks for tuning into the Loser Kid Pinball Podcast. We're on episode 143. I am Josh Roop. With me, my co-captain, as always,
Scott Larson.
And yes, I didn't screw it up this time.
Yes.
Woo!
Yes. Woo. Finally.
And guess what? Guess what I saw on the net today, Scott?
What did you see, Josh?
I saw those beautiful new Funhouse remakes coming in from Pedretti to our good friends.
Pedretti.
Pedretti, not Pindretti.
I know, but it sounds so much better. It really does. You need to change your name.
I think it does
change
too.
your name. Yeah.
I mean, it's an Italian thing. I don't know.
I know.
But Zach and Nicole got some of them in today. Zach has made a video on the gameplay. And I mean, honestly, okay, I might not be a fan of the LE artwork. That's subjective. That's entirely me. But these games look great.
They look fun. Yeah.
I'm hearing wonderful reports from the first buyers. This is what you want in a company that's starting up, right?
Yep.
And plus, we'll get into the Haggis stuff a little bit later, but if you've been watching the Kerry Hardy videos and stuff like that, Flippin' Out has backed their customers so well that a lot of these people took a gamble and really didn't lose because Zach and Nicole has lost. It was like $90,000 is what Nap Arcade was reporting just for them. It could be more. I think it's more.
That's certainly speculation, but this is one of the reasons why going through a distributor like Flippin' Out is to your advantage.
Yes.
Because you have an advocate for you with the manufacturer. If you go straight through the manufacturer, you really don't have that. And we're going to get into what Zach did, Zach and Greg at Flippin' Out did for our friend Doug. But definitely, if you're going to get something, go to Flippin' Out, buy something. I actually ordered the Godzilla, not the Jaws, the Godzilla 70th edition for my friend. So we're hooking them up, and I'm really interested to see how it is in person.
I agree, man. And you know what? Seriously, hit them up. Their website is flippinout.com. They got their phone number there. I like to message Zach directly off of Messenger, but it sounds like if you have any issues, you can give them a call directly or even text them. So hit them up, Zach and Nicole Mini. And like you said, Greg Bone, those are our people. We got plenty of stuff on the list today. I know there hasn't been a ton of news. We got some speculation. We obviously want to get into the Haggis stuff. Before we get into the Haggis stuff, though, kind of let's do a quick update because I want to say thank you to those who reached out to me. We recorded the episode on Pioneer Day, which for those that don't know, in Utah, the 24th of July is when the pioneers came across the plains and said, this is the place.
Well, they entered into the valley.
Yes, they entered into the valley.
That's when they entered into the valley, yeah.
Okay, sorry. Then Brigham Young had said later on that this is the place and this is where we're staying. But it's funny because that isn't our first time like recording on Pioneer Day. And then I totally spaced. Yeah, I totally spaced like the next day that it's my birthday and I didn't say anything because like honestly we had Shane told on from Silverstein, which dude is amazing.
Shane's great, yeah.
Awesome dude. And
check out his podcast too.
Lead Singer
Syndrome, yeah.
Yes. Or his music, Silverstein.
Absolutely.
But it was funny because I was gonna mention that and then I didn't. And then like 2 a.m, I have like do not disturb turned on till like 7. Sure. So as soon as 7 hits, my phone's like, hey, by the way, you have all these notifications. Yeah. I have like 50 something by time my notifications. My wife's like, shut your phone off. But thank you to everyone who reached out and said happy birthday. It was very nice and very generous of you.
All right.
And so we went to Deadpool and Wolverine. And
okay, I didn't, but you did.
I did. Yeah. And which is funny because like I was telling Scott, I haven't been in an R-rated movie in the theater since the very first Jackass came out, which was like I was 16 and I just turned 37. So 21 years ago. That's like the last. I just don't watch much rated R content. It just it's so hit or miss.
It's not your thing. It's fine.
Yeah, it's very hit or miss. But I'm actually watching Ted Lasso right now. If you're not watching that, that is good stuff.
Yeah.
But Deadpool and Wolverine was fantastic. I'm excited because we were talking with George Gomez. Remember, we did this live during that interview, and he did not shoot down the idea of a Deadpool Wolverine pinball machine.
Man, that would be so good. And by the way, I'm taking full credit for it because I'm the one who said, hey, there's a one coming out. You can get the double feature.
Okay, someone needs to get a hold of Ryan Reynolds because if he gets involved with the project, it's happening.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
So we should get Ryan Reynolds involved. If you get Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman, I mean, obviously there's a price tag there. But the dude, like Ryan Reynolds paid to have the B. Arthur T-shirt
Yep.
in the Deadpool movie. I don't
Yeah.
know
So
if you know
what?
that.
So anybody who knows Ryan Reynolds, just blast him out. Tell him that we need to make this happen because we want the Deadpool Wolverine pinball machine.
Maybe we should just hit him up on X now or something like
There
that.
you go. Yeah.
But fantastic. And you know what's funny too? I don't know if you. I sent this to you when we were. Uh, it's been a couple weeks, but Comic-Con happened and Keanu
Hmm.
Reeves is playing John Wick,
Yeah.
and he's like, "When did this come out?" Like he was kind of like, "What? When did this happen?"
Yeah.
And
No, it's so funny because I really most artists are kind of detached from the marketing standpoint.
yeah,
So it is interesting. I would think that a pinball machine would be a bigger deal than a lunchbox, but maybe
yeah,
not.
maybe not. But it's funny too because I don't know if you listened to the most recent Slam Tilt. It just came out yesterday, but they were talking about this, and he's like, they likened it unto Johnny Depp with Nightmare on Elm Street, and when they
Hmm.
did when they did like the reboot or whatever, they reached out to the original cast except for Johnny Depp because they thought, well, he's such a big actor now, he
Right.
wouldn't want to be a part of it. And then when the movie came out, Johnny Depp's like, I would have loved to have been a part of this. You should have hit me up. Like,
Right. Yeah.
I would have made this work.
Yeah.
And
There's a
it's
lot
funny.
of assumptions going on, like with what artists want, and some artists are a pain in the butt. Others are
Yes.
nice. So.
Well, that's what I loved about having Shane on. He kind of gave us a peek behind the curtain with like music artists and stuff,
Hmm.
right? It's
Yeah.
like not what you know, but who you know kind of situation. If you got their phone number, you can more than likely just make it work. It's not a
Right.
big deal.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
Yeah. A lot of times it's getting through the agent paywall, so to speak.
yeah, it's the gatekeeping, right? You got to get
Mhm.
her.
And I do understand because
Yeah,
otherwise they would be inundated by everything. So I,
yes,
I I get it, but there is like a coolness factor with a lot of stuff with pinball. That's
yeah,
what I think.
I agree. But it was great to see Keanu on a pinball machine playing John Wick.
That was fun.
That was pretty awesome.
Yeah.
So, what's been going on? I keep jumping around. Sorry, Scott. What's been going on with you? What you been up to?
Um. Okay. So we have two cats, and we got a kitten for my daughter. And I've never appreciated how feral established cats can be when you introduce a kitten into the mix.
Okay.
We've had to have our cats separated for like a week and a half. So if anyone has any we've slowly tried to integrate them, but it's hilarious because they are they are usually the chillest cats, but they have gone after each other.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, weird stuff. Let's see what else. Friend of the show, Garrett. He's one of my local buddies. He called me and he was going to be trading his Stranger Things, which I'm kind of disappointed because he buys games and he blings them all up.
Oh
Like we're
yeah.
talking powder coat, we're talking extra stuff.
Yep.
And I was really excited to see his Stranger Things, but he turns over games like every 2 months. And so he was selling them. Now, go with me on this. This is what he said he could get. So it was his powder coated, really nice Stranger Things premium. And he called me and he made three options. And then you can tell me which one you would do. And I'd tell you which one I told him to do and which one he did.
Okay.
So one option was dialed in LE.
Okay.
The other option was Turtles Premium.
Okay.
And the other option was, okay, I'm kind of blowing it because I don't remember what the other option was. Oh, what was it? Turtles Premium and okay, it was one other, but I can't remember exactly which one it was. But I told him dialed in because it was like actually I just don't see that like dialed in is a different type game. Turtles and it was a premium. I said I own Turtles Premium and the problem is I found it way too hard and the glider was unreliable on mine, so it really
Yeah.
soured my taste. And so he got some money back and he got it, but he was really worried because he has a really narrow entrance to his basement. And so I just said, show me proof of life if you actually get it downstairs. He has a basement that like can't even have toppers in it because the ceiling's so low.
Did you see that people with the labyrinth that bought the topper and so they actually cut up between the joist
Oh,
space and then like drywalled it so that
you know
way the
what?
topper, you know what, whatever floats your.
Good for you. Make the house your own, right?
Yep.
Modify your basement, modify your pinball machine, modify your basement.
If they ever sell the house, you're gonna be like the people
Yeah.
walking,
What in
what's
the
this
world?
hole? Just this
Yeah.
random hole right here.
Rando hole. Um, Yeah, man. What was the okay? I'm really blanking on what the other one was, but the other one was a game that I was like, I just don't see that sticking around your connection very long, your
Your
collection very
collection.
long.
It sounds like you picked. I'm not gonna lie. Like I
Yeah.
enjoyed Turtles Pro. I think it's the better one out
Well,
of the
and I
two.
I told him that too. I was
Yeah.
like, I would go the pro.
Yeah, the premiums it's subpar, and it's funny that you say that because like Joel and Jared did a flipping out stream where they
Hmm.
did like you make your own tier list, and everyone agreed with mine except for Turtles was like so it was like S rank. So if you're into video games, S rank's like the like perfect rank, then
Hmm.
A through D, and then like there was a never played,
Right.
and so I had Turtles at A and Bond at D, and
Yeah, I
everyone's
didn't
like
agree. I didn't agree with that.
so they're like, you're right up until Turtles and Bond, and like if you flip those two, you'd have a perfect list. And I was like, well,
Yeah.
these are subjective, so but it's good to know that like apparently I need to play Bond. If someone's got a Bond out there that they want me just can let me borrow for like a month or two so I can get used to it, may
Hmm.
I'll love the game. Maybe I will, but I haven't had enough time, and the experiences that I have had weren't great. So
Yeah, it's okay. Bond is fine, and if you really like the theme, it is a fine. It's a fine integration for the theme. Bond is not really a huge theme for me. So
yeah,
that's why I didn't really jump in. Hey, we've talked about it, right? You kind
yeah,
of want to you don't kind of you do want a connection with the theme of the game because that's part of what draws you into the storyline,
yeah,
which is partly why I connect with Iron Maiden and other people do not because
yep,
I like the theme.
yep. So, oh, and one random note. So, I've lost like 12 pounds in the last
Whoa,
like 10 days.
good for
You
you.
know,
Okay,
uh,
intentionally or are
intentionally,
you
yes.
okay?
So I'm doing the whole no sugar, very little carbs, mostly just meat and veggies kind of thing, and fruit. So
Okay, that's fine. Eventually, like that's not super sustainable. Just FYI.
yeah. Well, I'm
Like,
not being very. I haven't had a slice of pizza yesterday. You know what I'm
okay, all
saying?
right,
Like,
yeah.
it's not all just.
All
I
right,
know it's
okay,
not super sustainable, but I'm having some carbs here and there. But
okay.
I'm watching my carbs versus like having half a
Man,
pizza all to myself. You know what I'm
good for
saying?
you. And just in case you're wondering, Josh is a sexy beast.
Well, thank you.
So,
So I was doing really good till Monday hit, and I got the stomach bug, and I was like, "Oh, great." I did
oh,
lose
there you
weight
go.
then, though, but then the next couple days, I was like, "I need carbs." So
Yeah, no, it's yeah, no, it's kind of fun. But
yeah.
yeah, no, it's anyway. Well, good for you. Good for you.
Well, thank you,
Healthy
thank you, thank
choices.
you. Yep, I figure my family's already got diabetes in it. I should probably learn to regulate my sugars as is. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah.
It's
It's
better to
it's
regulate and
actually
have sugar for the rest of my life than to binge now and not be able to have it later. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah. No, I get it. And actually, um, I started taking my health a lot more seriously when I got in my 40s. And it's kind of an occupational hazard because I see so many people who get in their 50s and 60s who in 70s who just did not invest in their health.
yeah,
And so that was really what, so I've been doing that for about the past 5 to 7 years.
gotcha.
But good times. All right.
You
So
know,
now you're healthy, you're fit, you're able to lug pinball machines around more, and you're ready to go.
you know what?
Okay.
All
What are
right,
we talking about this week?
let's talk about. So I'm hearing a pretty solid rumor.
Okay.
Do I want to quote it as a rumor? I'm hearing the new Metallica that's coming out,
Yeah.
whether it be this month or next month or
Ooh,
next
yeah.
year, premium only. I hear that we're getting a premium only, and I hear this cooking a little more and more as reliable sources have been talking to me about it. So, what are your thoughts on that, Scott?
I that makes sense. Like on a vault edition, you're not gonna go through the whole pro premium LE options.
Yeah,
Because what's going to happen is you're doing a vault, you're basically re-releasing something that has demand.
yeah,
You also one they made the mistake with Jurassic Park. They and they fixed it with Jaws, where they released the Jurassic Park 30th edition, which was an LE. So it did tick off the LE buyers. Oh, okay, Mando.
you mean with Godzilla?
Yeah, sorry. Oh, by the way, Mandalorian Premium was the other option, and I told him I think I like the Pro better. So that's oh
Yeah.
no, it was Mandalorian LE, and I was like,
Okay.
I would choose dialed in. So that was me. Um, yeah. So with the 30th of Jurassic Park, they really did tick off a lot of people. So having that option of saying, okay, we are going to do a premium product, and the whole point of having a pro is so you can sell them on location. That really is. And with these vault editions, there's a billion Metallicas out there, and they
Yeah.
don't want to invest a lot of resources into two tiering it. It makes sense to me just to make a premium version of it.
Well, it makes sense to me because like when they usually vault something,
Hmm.
they only usually vault one. They don't use like you said, they don't use two tier. Like when they did a Spider-Man vault, they did
Hmm.
just this. There was no pro and pre. It was just Spider-Man
Well, okay,
VE edition.
there weren't okay. Spider-Man didn't really. Spider-Man just had the Black Edition and the Standard Edition.
Okay.
You remember that? And the Black Edition just had like a different back glass.
Yeah, but like Metallica, the only difference is the hammer. There's not
Yeah,
much difference between the pro
yeah.
and the
There's not.
premium. So
Yeah.
it's like why make a two-tiered system when you know people would more than likely gravitate towards the pro when there's not much difference and there's a pretty good price gap. Like you're not going to pay $2,500 for a hammer
A
that knocks the
hammer.
ball into the play field.
Yeah.
So
There's so many pros out there that if you want to get the older version, you can get a Metallica Pro.
yeah, so and it's got to be worth their time money wise. And maybe I guess you could argue like, well, they'd sell thousands of pros, and so it'd be worth their
Mm,
time. I don't know. So, but that's just what I'm hearing. I'm hearing that that, and honestly, it's gotten so quiet. Usually gets this quiet when we're about to ready to have a release.
mhm,
I haven't called the Stern factory. I don't know if someone has. If you call and ask for a tour and they say sorry, we're shut down for the next 2 weeks or something like that, you know they're building them, so you know you're within 2 weeks of seeing it. Uh, I'm not telling you to go do that. I'm just saying that's what they told us on the Stern
mhm.
factory tour because that
Well,
was
okay,
asked.
we did see Deadpool's on the line.
Correct.
At least the release that they made last Friday, they were
Yeah.
making Deadpool's that week.
Yeah. Well, and they can run different things on. I mean,
Yeah.
I guess they probably would just run both lines full bore, or they got 3 lines there now, right? I can't remember
I think so. I'd have to
for
check.
sure. Two. There might be a third. Anyhow,
Mhm.
um,
It was hard to tell because when we went, John Wick was everywhere.
yeah,
And so that's all they were making is they were making the LEs. So it was hard to it was really hard for me to delineate where the lines broke up.
yeah. So let's talk Cornerstone. I'm hearing X-Men '97. Like that's where all the smoke's coming from. I'm still hearing Pokemon, but here's my thing. I really think Danger's on Pokemon if that is the case,
Okay.
and I think Borg is on X-Men. And the reason I say that is because I don't see them putting Borg on a Pokemon game. Because
I don't see Borg being a Pokemon kind of guy.
yeah, and they
And I
usually
really I don't see Elwyn being a Pokemon kind of guy. And I don't
true.
really see Eddie being a Pokemon. So really the only person who would care about that theme would be Jack Danger.
Yeah. And I think he's got and that's the thing too is they actually asked their designers like we have this license, who wants to do it? And so they've actually dropped licenses because it's not resonated with anyone.
Hmm.
It's just not like their jam. And
Hmm.
so I don't know. That's the other thing too. I'm hearing that like I mean Nap Arcade said that like Ellen's next game's King Kong, which makes sense. Like we talked about him being the
He's a
king of
monster guy.
monsters. Yeah,
Monster
he's a
guy.
monster guy. But is that all we're going to see from Ellen from here on out? Is just monsters? Like I don't know.
Well,
Like
Leviathan's coming out next, so
oh, okay. So I don't know. There's some juicy tidbits for you.
okay, but
Uh,
okay, if you had your choice for Metallica, would
yeah,
you want a premium version or would you rather have a pro version?
I'd rather have a pro.
Okay.
I think it depends
Okay,
on what this
but
new one.
here's the thing. The thing to remember is the one thing they do with the vault editions, and this is a little different version. And again, this is all speculation, but
Yeah,
it seems to be an open secret by now that
yeah,
this is happening. This is not necessarily a vault. This is almost like a vault 2.0.
yeah.
So there's going to be some changes. We know in Vault Editions, they go through and they look at the machine, find the weak points, find the things that aren't working super well,
Yeah.
and they update them. So the main issue with the hammer wasn't that reliable. It was kind of a pain, and uh, it inhibited the flow, and therefore the people like the Pro better.
Yeah.
So I'm guessing they took a look at that and figured out a way to fix or reincorporate the hammer, and so it actually flows better in the game.
Well, it's hard too because like if they got a bunch of concert footage and they actually have an LCD versus a DMD, I know
Mhm.
that's appealing to some people. It just there's a lot more. It's like it's hard to compare. It's almost apples and oranges at this point. It's not just an art package. Like I'm not gonna lie, I probably would have got a Godzilla 70th if my game wasn't as modded as it is. Like if
Right.
I don't want to tear those all out to put it into a new game.
I would
And
have got up Godzilla myself, a 70 myself, except my wife saw it, and I when I sent out the post, I'm like, "Hey, what do you guys think?" And she said, "They both look nice. I prefer the color."
so and I've heard the game is amazing. I've heard it's come in and it's beautiful.
Yeah,
I've seen video of it.
I'm gonna see it because my friend's getting it, so
Yeah.
we're gonna set it up, and I will definitely give you an eyes only update.
Okay, let's move on to Haggis since I've got that next to my list. I kind of want to get them out of the way.
Yeah. Ooh.
Um,
Okay. Um, okay. I will say, go and watch the Carrie Hardy video.
yeah,
He's going to be doing multiple editions of it,
yeah,
and it does talk about a few issues in that.
yeah.
But what I do want to talk about is, Josh, now that we know a little bit more of Haggis, what is your gut feeling? What is your take on this?
It
What
is just the
questions do you have too? I want
it's
to know that.
I have so many questions and it's kind of bizarre because it's like I can't remember the first gentleman that was interviewed by Carrie, but he talked about like, yeah, he was still taking money and stuff like that, but he was following up on promises he was making. So it was like the gentleman received his fathom and the playfield was shot like it like the plastic. So if you don't know about the Haggis playfields, they were wood and then on top of that was a protective sheet of plastic or acrylic, and apparently when they came over on the shipping containers it warped it because of the heat and stuff like that. And so
So it
uh,
delaminated, and
yeah,
so when you have multiple layers and the adhesive between one layer and another separate, then that's the delamination process, and that
yeah,
apparently is what happened, correct?
yeah. And so the gentleman didn't really like he talked to Damien directly and Damien said, we'll ship you a new playfield, but I got to build a box so we can ship it
Mhm.
and create one that's not going to cause any issues. And so the guy was like, yeah, sure, whatever. So he turned to Zach because he bought through flipping out,
Right.
and Zach took care of him. He's like, don't worry about it. So they
Yeah.
got it taken care of. But then the gentleman saw Damien actually did make the box for another guy with the playfield.
Right.
It just it sucks because a lot of the Haggis experience I had at Pinball Expo on a fast game that was made,
Mhm.
and you played that one with me, right?
It was nice, yeah.
Yeah, it was really nice. And so we saw that. And then like Steven Strom, a friend of the podcast, we've known for years, he got a Celts, but they weren't doing the acrylic on the Celts.
Right.
This was pre-acrylic, right? And his game played awesome. And it's just weird. It's like, and it sounds like all the issues they were having, and we've said this a million times, like was with the play field. And I don't want
Mhm.
to have issues with the play field. People complain about the coil stops. Whoop de doo. They're like $5 for a coil
You
stop.
can swap them out, yeah.
Yeah, it's 2 screws and swap them out. Like, yeah, like, I hear you. It sucks. Like, they bought 1,000,000 of them. They're probably still going through them. Whoop-de-doo. But if I have to pull a whole freaking pinball playfield out to swap it out, we've got an issue. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And so, it sounds like the Fathom just totally destroyed them. It sounded like
Mhm.
they tried to fix a problem that wasn't really like you can talk about dimpling all day, but like seriously, go look at all your old games, everything. You've
They
got a
all have dimples.
yeah, it's just it is what it is. I don't
Okay,
know what
by
else
the
to
way,
tell you.
George Gomez had an amazing response to someone about dimpling. He asked, and George Gomez hops in and says, "This is the situation." And he talks about hardness scale, and he talks about the hardness of the wood versus the hardness of the ball and the
Yeah.
plastics. And the the too long didn't read of it is anytime you have a steel ball interacting with a wood, regardless of how solid the wood is, the steel ball is always going to be harder. It's hit with velocity. You're transferring momentum into the playfield, and eventually you're going to have little dimples.
Yeah.
Okay. The I've said it before. If you buy these machines, expect to use them as they are intended. Expect to use them as machines. Otherwise, they're a museum piece.
Yeah.
But if you're interacting with that, that's going to happen.
Yep.
So trying to retrofit this thing for really an issue that's not really much of an issue.
Yeah.
Okay, for me, there are some people who, yeah, it's a huge issue for them. For me, dimpling's not a big deal.
Yeah. Um, it seems like more and more and more is coming out. I just watched the Carrie Harding interview about 2 days or 3 days ago.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that even at that point, it had only been out for like 2 days, and Carrie even put in the comments, "There's still more information coming out.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the information in this interview is obsolete, and it had only been out for 2 days."
Right.
So I think it's definitely gonna be a whirlwind for at least probably till the end of the year, uh, till everything kind of dust settles. I mean, really, we've kicked a wasp nest, and we're still dealing with the aftermath right now, right? I don't know what to do about the whole situation. There's nothing I can do.
No.
Um, it sucks because there's a lot of people that got involved. There's a lot of speculation. Um, and it's hard because we don't have like full 100%. We have a lot of details coming out, which is great. We're seeing
Mm-hmm.
stuff from the government, from the liquidation, stuff like that. Um, but there's some pretty like off the wall speculation made that is affecting people's lives right now. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
guys, calm down. I get like some people lost money. It's kind of the same scenario. We do this every couple of years, it seems like.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, it sucks. And I feel for those that lost money. I feel for those that have been affected. Uh, but the other situation is too, it's like, I don't know. I keep going back to Steve Bowden. Like Steve Bowden, I felt bad for because when he worked at Deeproot,
Right.
that was all going under, and people were seeing that. People were contacting him personally, demanding answers
Yeah, and
and
that's
acting
not
like he
fair.
owned the
He is
campus.
not the PR person.
He's not PR.
Okay, it's the same thing. Martin Robbins, he's a friend of the show. He's
Yeah,
not the head. And so ultimately, if anything, he's an employee and he is not responsible for the solvency of the company.
yeah,
And so we are you want to be very respectful of that.
yeah.
Um, what I will say in I'm going to tell you a story that I had on a home renovation, and then I'm going to tell you how it ties in. Okay.
Okay.
Very quickly, we had a few home renovation stuff that we were doing. It wasn't a big deal. Some doors here and there, some painting, and there was a fence. And now I wish that we had really retooled the fence because it makes it a pain to move pinballs in and out. But that's a different story in itself. But we gave them half the money down. It wasn't a lot, just $2,000. Okay. And we kept calling and finding out. They're like, "Oh yeah, no, they're really backed up on the fence and all this kind of stuff." But we'd still get calls occasionally. It's like, "Hey, are you interested in doing some renovations with?" I'm not going to say their name, but with so and so. And I said, "Actually, yeah, we are doing stuff with you, and we still haven't heard. Oh, we'll get back to you." Okay. The bottom line is we finally contacted the actual fence people, and they said we stopped working with them because they have unpaid bills with us. So finally I called them and they said they actually called one time. They're like, would you just prefer your money back? I'm like, yeah, I would. Okay. And then nothing happened. And so I just said, I'm just going to drive down. I know where they are. So I
Yeah.
drove down, I walked in, and they I said, I just want my money back. And they said, we don't have it. I was like, okay, like what's good? And what had happened in that situation was one of the owners, and it's a small business, and they've gone out of business now. One of the owners, I think, got sick, and so got behind on stuff. But they still had expenses going out, and so they felt like this is me just looking back on it. I think they were still trying to buy time by asking for more people to sign up with them to get some advance money in to
Yeah.
float them until they could catch up on this and then go through with it.
Yep.
Ultimately, it didn't happen, and they declared bankruptcy. Now, I also saw later in the news, local news, that actually there was a company that was doing a whole bunch of renovations and not applying for building permits. Same company.
Gotcha.
So I ended up losing $2,000 in the deal. Now, here's my tie-in to the whole thing about Haggis. When a company starts, they typically start small and they start building up slowly. And the challenge is once you start building up, you need to go from 10 miles an hour to 20 miles an hour to 30 miles. So you slowly increase what you can do as a company until you finally reach that steady state that you're looking for. So 60
Yeah.
miles an hour, 100 whatever you're looking for. Um, and if you start jumping steps and trying to go ahead of what your company is qualified to do, there are going to be lessons that you have not learned from going slow that are going to come crashing into you.
Yeah.
Part of the issue is when you start running into problems, the the problem is the cover up of an issue always ends up being worse than the problem itself.
Yeah.
So this is my humble opinion. The question is not what happened, it's when did they know and what did they do about it?
Yeah.
What I'm speculating, and this is pure speculation, they knew it was going south and they kept trying to give lip service that things were fine. And then when things became really bad, they could no longer catch up on the slow. They're still promising they're going at 50 or 60 miles an hour when they really could only go 10 or 20 miles an hour.
Yeah.
And ultimately, they got out way over their skis and it kind of crashed on them. Now, they were also using some clever, well timed uh, excuses, which we saw this with Deeproot, right?
Yeah.
And so they hid behind COVID when apparently that wasn't an issue at all. And so, again, if you're stating an issue as an issue when it turns out not to be, ultimately you're going to start looking really bad
Yeah.
because there's a big difference between having company issues and blatant lies. And I would argue if it is as was reported that they really weren't affected much by COVID, but they used it as a shield, then a partial truth is still a lie.
Yeah.
And hiding behind that. Now, there are other things that are going on, but this is where when they knew what was wrong and what they were actually saying, that's when I start saying that's where the fault is. I don't think it's
Yeah.
fault until you start collapsing as a company and then rolling out some crazy excuses that people cannot verify with their eyes or with the product.
Yeah.
And we see that so many times in life. And sometimes it's just so apparent that you can no longer hide what's going on.
Yeah.
And that's what it seems like happened with them.
My question is because I know there's a lot of loss whether you didn't get your product because you paid for it or you did receive your product and there's warped play fields
Mhm.
and message us, email us, may correct me if I'm wrong. If you did end up with the Fathom and the play field's jacked, can you go to, I think CPR is making reproduction of these play fields. I can't remember who is. I
Right.
wonder if you could drop granted, it's a pain, right? Like you're going to be
Right.
costing,
I
but
wondered the same thing. I know exactly what you're getting at, doing your own playfield swap
or
with a
paying,
different playfield.
yeah, or paying,
Right.
um, HEP to swap it out, or
Mhm.
or finding a little local tech that's comfortable with doing it. I
Right.
just I'm curious if you could do it. Like, yeah, it's not the best. It
That
sucks.
can't be the only option though. Uh,
No.
I'm not going to let them hide behind a playfield submarine us
Yeah.
because I guarantee that would not be accurate. The playfield didn't help,
Yeah.
and having a playfield doesn't do it. But blaming the entire company's demise on a playfield seems
No.
disingenuous to
It
be kind.
It is, but I think what it was is it was hyper focusing on a problem.
Maybe.
They should have. They were so transparent on trying to fix the dimpling issue, because we hear that a lot. Like when there's like drama to be had, the
Hmm.
the dimpling stuff comes up, right? Like
Yeah,
I
dimpling or
want
ghosting.
listens,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, and
Chipping,
so
chipping, dimpling, ghosting. Yeah.
yeah, and granted, like the chipping on some of those early JJPs, I get, but
Hmm.
anywho, I think overall it just sucks. It's one of those things like if Damon was a con man, like he's probably the weirdest con man I've seen out of all of them.
This doesn't feel
Um,
like that
yeah, it
because
doesn't.
with Robert Mueller, then it came out that he was living a lavish lifestyle
Yeah,
that was not sustainable.
yeah,
That's a different situation. This
yeah,
seems to be a well-intentioned company that just didn't have the skill set.
yeah, yeah. So I got on my news that ABBA has started shipping. People are starting to receive them.
Woohoo!
So if you are an ABBA fan, I guess it's time to start getting excited. So if you've ordered yours,
I'm still waiting to play it. I take the Nick Lane approach with pinball machines for the
yeah,
most part, is that unless it's a company that you are totally invested in, that they are going to make your game, wait until it's available for your hard-earned cash and then buy it. That's always my take. And again, there are very few games that end up being unobtainable. Like the only one that I could possibly think of that is relevant is JJP Pirates of the Caribbean.
uh, I mean Pinball Circus, but then again, it's
That
Pinball Circus. No one owns it.
okay,
Like there's two
yeah, but
people.
I'm saying like a game that's intended to be mass produced.
Oh,
Like
gotcha.
like
Yeah,
that one is this weird artificial shortage, and
yeah,
we're not going to do a retrospective
yeah,
autopsy on that.
yeah,
But for the most part, even on super popular games, the most you'll ever pay over what you could have got if you were an early adopter is $1,000. And
yeah,
for the most part, you can get it at price or below at a later date.
yeah. I guess the only people that need to worry about the FOMO is the people that like the LEs, and even then, most of the time the
You can
LEs,
still buy those.
yeah, unless
There's
with
a
the
new LE. There's a
Stern,
new LE every 3 months.
yeah, and so, which is funny because we've talked about like people still have Venom LEs, but I've heard that like John Wick is actually a lot of people are selling out of their LEs on the John Wicks.
They are now, yeah.
They're doing great. So
Okay,
uh,
but the issue is if you're flexible on time,
yeah,
then as long as you're willing to wait for that game, you
yeah,
can find it.
yep, definitely, definitely, definitely. All right,
And if it's a great game,
CGC.
you can buy tons of them because
Yep.
there's a billion Godzillas out there. There's a
So
billion Metallicas out there.
CGC announced before they did not Medieval Madness, sorry, Cactus Canyon, that they were doing another run of Medieval Madness in
Yes.
like 2023 or something like that.
Yeah.
Supposedly, they're
In
running Medieval Madness.
2023 or 2024.
No, originally they were going to run Medieval Madness in 2023.
Right.
Uh, Granted, we're well past that, and we know that
Right.
never happened. Medieval Madness supposedly running in December of this year. I would be intrigued I mean, if they need to buy some time for their next game, which we have a pretty
We
good idea of
think.
what it
Yeah, we
is.
think. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but we're not going to go into that right now. But yeah, if you're looking for that Medieval Madness, hit up Zach Nicole
Yeah.
at
I
Flipping
actually
Out.
I'm on the list because I have a friend who really wants one. Even though
I
I, I've got one, but
I think I want one. I'm not for sure. I'm kind of at that point where I don't
your
know anymore.
your kid will like it. And
Yeah, I
my
know my
kids
kids will
really
like it.
like it. It's nice. The good news is it's a great gateway drug
Yep.
for pinball because it is straightforward. You can see exactly where you're supposed to go.
Yep.
It's if CGC were smart, then they really should just have a dedicated line for Medieval Madness
Yeah.
and pump out a few hundred a month because
I
they
think if
will
you
sell. They'll
I think
sell.
if you're smart, you don't even announce this. You just be like, by the way, they're shipping now.
We
Because
got them.
that's the
Yeah.
biggest problem with CGC, right? Like we're gonna make these. And we're like, sure you are in like a year and a half. So
That right now, at least CGC is making good on it. That my gut feeling is the vibe is their quality is slipping a little bit.
yeah, it is. I'm
The
hearing more and
cactus, I've
more.
heard a lot of
Yeah.
people having issues with their cactus. I actually had one issue with it, But the good news is Butch was working with them at the time, and so I was interacting with them, and they ended up just sending me a new motor for the mine, and it ended up working really well. So,
We're having
but
hearing a lot of issues with Pulp Fiction too, I'm hearing.
yeah, well, the back box on the game we played at Logan Arcade was separating
Yeah.
from the from the podium of it,
Yeah, I'm like,
which
"Oh, this is just loose. I'll tighten the screws while I'm right here." Oh, no, no,
no,
no.
no,
It
it
was the
was
wood.
delaminated. Yeah.
Yeah, like, yeah. Yeah. I was shocked.
Yeah,
Uh,
and Logan's Arcade is a high volume arcade, so I do understand that. But
yeah.
okay, here's another question too. I don't remember, Josh. Did Logan's Arcade have any Jersey Jack? Do you
Not that
remember
I
any?
remember. I don't remember any. I'll
We
remember
were
a
only there
single
for a
one.
few hours, and I kind of glanced around and saw a lot. We saw Pulp Fiction, we
It
saw
was mostly
Galactic Tank Force.
Stearns. Yeah,
Um, but and even and you could argue they had some with really expensive toppers on them.
yeah.
So it doesn't. I'm curious to find out why they're not there. And you would think that JJP would want their games in a Chicago arcade that is played all the time.
You well, and that's the other thing too. You think like I don't know. You gotta weigh the return on investment, right? So is it
Yeah,
worth Jersey Jack to cut a
giving a
deal
game
with
to them.
Logan to put a game in there
Yes,
versus you
yes,
know what I'm
yes,
saying?
it
Like
is. Yes, it is.
so
That's again my humble take, and I have zero credibility on business planning for pinball machines, but I would say yes.
I personally think that we're not the demographic that Jersey Jack is looking for.
Maybe.
So I could be wrong.
Who knows? I bet they'll have a Harry Potter when it gets in there.
All right, Dutch Pinball Extreme, or what does the X stand for? I can't remember.
Extreme.
Is it Extreme?
I don't know. Sure.
They revealed a piece of Alice in Wonderland. Did you see this?
It's like the
The
watch.
little, yeah,
Yeah,
the
the
pocket
amulet
watch.
thing. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a screen on the inside of it that it's an LCD, but
Okay.
uh, cool.
Which is cool, but they've also done that with Alice in Wonderland. Or not, sorry, Wizard of Oz. They've also done it
yeah,
with Hobbit, and they've
yeah,
the small screen. I think it's a cute gimmick,
yeah,
but there's nothing in that says I want to buy a machine with a small screen in it.
yeah.
And that was part of why I looked at Toy Story and I said, really, you need a giant iPad in there? Like I'm not buying a game for an iPad. I want to buy a game because I want to hit the ball.
Yeah. Yeah,
So it's
I'm
cool.
not
It's okay. It's
it's
fine.
cool. I will be I guess I'm not honestly I'm not excited to see this game. But uh I'll check it out when it comes out. It sounds
Hmm.
like they're shipping more of their stuff over to Pinball Expo.
Hmm.
And hopefully they bring hopefully it's out by then or they have a prototype there. That'd be awesome. So,
Yeah. No, I,
uh
I I agree. It'd be nice, but okay. It's fine. This is what they do. They do the teasers, right? They show like ABBA showed their helicopter, and
yeah.
just little things like that. Um, I don't know. And pinball marketing, does that work anymore? That is like showing the underside of the play field. I glance at that. I'm like, yeah, there's a whole bunch of wires and mechs.
Yeah.
It is like every play field kind of looks the same.
I think it does because people
We'll talk about
overanalyze
it.
it, they
They'll talk
speculate
about
it.
it. Yeah.
Yeah, they make posts online saying this is a kicker and this is an up thing, this is
Hmm.
a subway. I think it's fun for the community and really it doesn't hurt
Right.
the company to take a quick picture and make a post. I
And,
yeah.
and and that's fair. I remember when Mustang came out. And do you remember when Mustang came out?
I don't
It
know if I
was
do.
it was here's Mustang. And that was it. People were like, "Wait, you were making a Mustang machine?"
Yeah.
It was really out of the blue.
Yeah.
So
All right.
you're right. It's good to do these teaser things, and it's fine. Hey, it didn't look bad.
Yeah,
Didn't look
sure.
bad.
Uh P3 just put out an update, multimorphic.
Okay.
Uh I will just pretty much skim it for you. It's essentially says Bride of Pinbot, good criminy. Princess Bride is shipping now. It's in
Okay.
production. And then they have upgrade kits. If you haven't upgraded your P3 system, and you have one, hit them up. They've got like a back box upgrade, and they have a kind of like a quality of life upgrade to the software and whatnot, or
Okay.
to the hardware, if I remember
Okay.
correctly. And these kits are free. You just got to hit up Jerry and he'll take care of you. And it's like you go to the website, you add it to their cart, and then it's like free kit 2024 or something like that. Just hit up Jerry if you have, like, seriously, if you haven't got it. I assume you have, but if not, for some odd reason, if you missed it, grab it. But they
Okay,
will be
but
revealing.
that's good though,
Yes.
because the biggest thing that we've talked about, at least I've talked about, is with P3, one of the issues is it's like in video games, right? You have the PlayStation and you have the PlayStation 2. So you have consoles. And this feels a little bit in that console category. And unless they update the console, okay, it's a loose analogy, but upgrade what the P3 is running, then eventually it's going to be out of date and that's still your major thing that you're plugging your games into. So it makes sense for them to keep going. And this is their version of going like from Spike to Spike 2 and possibly Spike 3, right?
Yeah. And it's definitely an upgrade. I know some of the chips that are on there they can't get a hold of anymore. It's
Mhm.
just it's time. It's time to be swapping out boards and trying to do a quality of life for the system,
Mhm.
because you can't keep running a decade old system on this stuff. So
And
and
obviously it's retroactive, like, right? It's reverse compatible.
yeah. And they're I'm going to call it cornerstone, because really that's what, with P3, they have third party games being made and stuff
Mhm.
like that. Their next cornerstone, it sounds like it's going to be out by TPF.
Good.
So
Yeah.
can't wait to see what they got there. I think this one's another original theme. It sounds like they're going to be going with original theme and then license theme. They're going to kind of like Scott Denise's was an original theme, but it
Sure.
still had the Scott Denise name to it because it's Final Resistance, right? And which is an awesome game. People are loving that game. So uh, there's something to look forward to from P3 coming in the next couple months. I guess
Good.
probably in the next 4 months. Where are
Mhm.
we in? We're in August. Good criminy. Why do I think it's later? Kids aren't in school yet.
Yeah, that's this week. Yeah.
And then the last thing I have is we actually received a product. I I just got an email from Jockton. Okay, I got to talk about Jockton really quick. If you do not know Jockton, he sells pin shades. That's his primary company.
Mhm.
And I want to thank him really quickly because he was one of our sponsors for flipping the script on autism. Granted, that's
Yep.
been 2 years now, coming up in October. Um, but when we had items stolen from our booth on that last day, Jockton stepped up and said, I'll buy." He bought a handful of stuff and just said, "I'll take care of it and get it shipped out."
Yeah.
Um, jo- this is a gentleman that I don't know, I was really impressed.
Yeah.
And so he messaged us. He gave us a message. It's been 2 or 3 weeks ago that, or maybe it's been longer than that. But he's just like, "I've got a package for you guys. I'm shipping to you, and give me your addresses." So I gave him Scott's address and I gave him mine. And it's funny because like the box shows up. My wife's like, "You got a package. I don't know what the heck it is." And so I open it and I don't even realize what the heck it is. It's like these 3D printed cones with like rubber on them,
Mhm.
and I get looking at them and I realize, oh, they're called pin steps, and you get two each. They go under the backside of your legs. It's essentially
Mhm.
a quick, instead of having to like adjust and all this stuff trying to figure out. He's already built in the pitch degree of how much higher you're taking the game. And with the rubber, you're not going to be worrying about sliding the game everywhere. I've been really impressed with this product. These were the ones that were used at Pinburg. So that was really
Mhm.
cool for him to send us the Pinburg pin steps. But everyone that's using these for tournaments are loving them. And I like to just goof around sometimes and be like, I wonder what how my game would play at this pitch. And it's seriously, I put my knee under the back part of the machine, I lift it up, I slide these under, and you've got a whole different playing game in 30 seconds flat. So I've really enjoyed it. Have you taken the opportunity to mess with these at all, Scott?
Yeah, these are great because just a second, I'm gonna cough.
I asked
These
him
are
at the
great.
wrong time.
Yeah, yeah. I was gonna cough when you were talking when I muted. These are great if you've ever hosted a party over at your house, like a
Yeah.
tournament. It is a pain to adjust all your machine unless you have them on brutal mode or hard mode all the time. I have
Yeah.
kids, I have family. This is a family arcade that I have in my basement.
Same here.
This is not a tournament friendly setting. However, I can always make it tournament friendly really quick by just throwing those things on, and it takes 10 seconds. And so it is a great option to say, hey, I just want something that can do it. And you could even mess with people and put the steps on the front and make it a little more shallow and see what happens. But um, it is just a great, quick and dirty way of getting your games to a different level for the competition, or if you just want to make it hard for yourself and see how it is without having to get back there and jack them up and
Yeah.
re-level it. Great
And
option.
well, and I remember we did a tournament at your house once. Someone had asked if we could do it at your house, and they said, I will do all the adjustments." And you've got in your basement, you got what, 12 games, I wanna say?
You have 10 games, yeah.
And you didn't have any at the garage at that point. We only did it in the basement.
Mhm.
How long? Because they offered to, you know,
Yeah.
tournament style them, and then they offered to untournament style them. That was Josh Craig, wasn't it? And
They worked on it, and really I just didn't have the time to deal with it, but that's
but
such a
how much time
huge
did they
deal.
take? That's what
Oh,
I
yeah,
wanna know.
way more time, more than 60 seconds, I'll put it that way, and it would take 60 seconds to throw these things in the back.
But I remember they were there for hours
Yeah.
beforehand, and then
Mhm.
after that too, it seemed like they were out,
Yeah.
hours as well trying to get all yeah,
So that's definitely a great option to go and check those out.
yeah. So, the other product too that I sent this to you. I'm
Okay.
excited for this. I've got one on the way,
Okay.
a pin snake. Did you
Mm.
did you watch the video on this?
I did. It looked kinda cool. I
It's
I I
I'm s
certainly sent some risque comments to Carrie, but I thought it was hilarious.
and
It's
that's the
great.
thing. I
Yeah.
love, you know, cleaning pinball machines are easy up until you get into those lanes,
Ah,
especially on a
jeez.
World Cup soccer. Oh, so I
Mhm.
am more than excited to try out this product. And Carrie Hardy did a great video. If you haven't watched it, go give it a
Yeah.
watch.
Yeah, and
Um,
it's perfect, especially those orbits and all that stuff that's just kind of a pain to get back there.
yeah,
It works, it looks like it works really well, so check that out too.
definitely. Well, honestly, we kind of kind of breezed through our list. Is there anything else you want to talk about, Scott, before we shut this down?
Kate, actually, this barely came to my mind today,
Okay.
and I actually haven't even got the so we always talk about dream pinball themes, right?
Okay.
Okay. He Why has no one ever suggested a Mickey Mouse game?
I don't know, but there's that Tugboat Willie that guy made, like, as a homebrew, and I
Oh,
think he
okay, but
was
I'm talking like a game. Like people, so the when we went to Disney World 4 years ago or something like that,
yeah,
and I think they're building this actually in Disneyland right now. It was a it was a crazy um, cartless thing. It's kind of like Rise of the Resistance, but it's with Mickey and Goofy and
yeah,
kind of this new animation style where they look a little bit like they're all high or something. I'm not exactly sure
yeah.
how to describe it, but it was a great theme and a great ride, and I'm wondering why, like, we all talk about Disney stuff, so there's a Pirates ride, and you can do all that kinda stuff, but what about just basically a Disneyland or, Disney ride, Mickey Mouse, Donald Duck, Goofy, all that kinda stuff? Why have they not actively pursued something like that?
That's what someone should do. If you're looking to start up a company, because
Don't.
Tug
Just don't, because, apparently starting up pinball, companies are terrible.
but here's the thing, so if you did a Tugboat Willie,
Mhm.
because it's now public domain because 'cause it's been out for
That's
95
true.
years, whatever it is,
Yeah.
you could
Steamboat
I
Willie.
Steamboat Willie, sorry. I mean, you had to be super careful. You could only use the
Only
material
do that one, yeah.
from that well, and I think anything that's released that year
It's
for
100 years
Mickey.
ago. It's 100 years
So,
ago.
there was an airplane one that he was in, and I think
Yeah.
the Steamboat Willie.
Okay,
But
but
my
but why not just get the real stuff? Like, get
true.
have one of the major manufacturers go ahead and get that, because we all talk about, like, a Mario game or a Zelda game. Like, okay, I'm not saying that that would make my collection,
Yeah.
but there's certainly a ton of people out there who are really connected to the Disney brand, so why isn't there a Mickey Mouse pinball machine?
Well, and it makes you wonder too, because obviously we've done cartoon pinball machines, right? Like, if X-Men '97 really is coming, that's
And
straight
it's a
that is a
Disney
kid's car
product. It's
it's
a
a Disney
Disney
product,
product.
a kid cartoon.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously it's more advanced because it's dealt with some more adult themes, or like not like adult themes, but you know what I'm saying? Like some,
Right. Things that young adult themes, right? Yeah.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
like
And so,
teen young adult, yeah.
but like Spider-Man, like the vault was all comic book style, and like
Mhm.
Avengers Infinity Quest. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? Like, so what justifies a cartoon be able to get its own pinball machine where it jumps that hurdle of we've
Right.
went from childish to nostalgic people want. I
Yeah.
think Mickey Mouse is definitely down that avenue.
But Mickey Mouse would cover all genres. Like, another cartoon who worked was the Batman series,
Yeah, the
right?
animated Batman
Yeah,
series.
the
Yeah.
animated Batman series, that was really well done.
Yes, very well done. I'm just trying to think like, well, and the rumor from American Pinball, He-Man and
Cuphead,
the
yeah.
well, Cuphead, but He-Man and the Masters of the
Yeah, but
Universe.
He-Man's been, like, started and dropped so many times. Yeah, okay, here's the funny thing about He-Man. Did you watch, the Kevin Smith He-Man thing on Netflix?
I did
It's like
not.
Revelations.
The guy from Jay and Silent Bob. He's Silent
Yeah.
Bob. Yeah.
Yeah, that guy. So he did um his own Masters of the Universe sequel thing. And it was
Okay.
interesting. And I watched it. I'm like, yeah, this reminds me of my childhood. I probably would have been about 10 to 12 in that age group. And I thought that this is kind of cool. It's true to form, but afterwards it completely like had no lasting nostalgia for me.
Yeah.
Star Wars has lasting nostalgia for me. But
Yeah.
He-Man, GI Joe, I would even argue Thundercats. There's nothing that's lasting. For some reason, Turtles still has that lasting nostalgia, which is why it's still popular.
It's because it teamed up with pizza.
Yeah, yeah,
Maybe.
maybe.
I- and it's funny too, because like Turtles is like a parody of Daredevil mixed with
Oh yeah.
X-Men mixed
Hmm.
with Teen Titans. And the funny part is it's went bigger than probably all three of those combined.
Oh,
Well, maybe not X-Men, but definitely Daredevil and Teen
maybe.
Titans.
Yeah, Teen Titans is a non-issue. Yeah,
But it's funny because like it's had multiple parodies and stuff of Ninja Turtles. But back to what we were saying, like what justify like Hello Kitty is one of the top franchises of all time. It's made billions of
yeah.
dollars, right? But I don't think we'll ever see a like I could be wrong, but I just don't think we'll ever see a Hello Kitty
I
pinball
would be
machine.
shocked. I would be shocked.
It
You could argue like K-pop too.
yeah.
I believe they're K-pop, right? The boy band from
Yeah.
South Korea.
Yep.
Like they make so much money that their income is factored into the GDP of South Korea.
Oh, really?
It is.
Nice.
And there's like a big issue because like there's mandatory service in South Korea, like military service, and you
Yeah.
have to do it by the time you're 30. And this is a few years ago, and so maybe they've already resolved this, but the oldest guy in K-pop was 29. And so they were
Oh.
like, what are they going to do? Because they're, so I, who knows? I'm not a K-pop guy. So I don't know the whole ins and
He might
outs of
just
it.
be blowing smoke up your butt right now.
No,
Just
no,
kidding.
no, everything I said is true. I just don't know. I'm not up to date in the K-pop stuff.
Oh. Oh.
So yeah, you're right. There are a lot of themes that I don't think readily translate to pinball.
Yeah. Yeah. I still think Scott Pilgrim versus the World, man. I My son went school clothes shopping and they're still selling Scott Pilgrim versus the World
Okay.
t-shirts and stuff like that. It's just one of those things. It's like Beetlejuice though. Like Beetlejuice is nostalgic. Like I'm
And
surprised
I don't
people have
I
skipped
don't get
over.
it. Yeah, I Beetlejuice, I don't get. I've seen it a few times. I'm like, yeah, it's okay. It's okay.
And that's the thing though. Like I just don't get why some themes feel like they're absolute home runs for
Mhm.
pinball and they don't get made, and some themes like why was that made, like that
Yeah.
doesn't make any sense. But hey, I don't do research and development for these companies,
Okay,
so
Journey still should be made. I don't know why it hasn't been made at this point.
yeah.
Journey is a home run slam dunk. It's probably because the bandmates are a mess. They're fighting again, which is
Oh my
hilarious. But
goodness.
the music would translate really well.
Yeah,
They had a video game.
maybe that's what it seriously, that's probably what it comes down to. It's like Jody Dankberg goes in from Stern with licensing and he's like, we're ready to do Journey, and they're like, the bandmates are fighting again, they're not agreeing on anything right now.
Yeah, but no one
Fine.
cares.
No one cares.
It's yeah, no one cares. It's
People need
fine.
to make money. Sell them the license.
Seriously. Hey, the AC/DC drummer got back in the band after terrible allegations of domestic violence.
Yeah. And then there's bands like Lost Prophets that have been scrubbed pretty much from the internet, except for like YouTube, because their main singer was convicted of stuff. And then like, it's like, I feel bad for the bandmates, because it's like,
well,
it's like, well, your
we went through it in
livelihood.
pinball, right? There were some games that some people just sold because they didn't want a certain designer associated with it. And so I get it.
That's another rabbit hole I'm not going to go down this episode.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Speaking of rabbit holes, you've already mentioned him once or twice. I want to thank Doug Puerta for he bought our hockey jersey. He's excited to be
He bought it before we got it.
I know, dude. So if you've been paying attention, you can get, I need to like get socks made, but like you can have a hat, a shirt, pants, because we've got the joggers now, shoes. All you need socks and underwear. That's what you need to do. If you show up in full loser kid,
don't show me your underwear. I don't want to see it. And don't tell me you're not wearing
across
underwear.
The butt cheeks, smiling with 2 thumbs up.
Don't tell me you're not wearing underwear either. I don't need to hear that.
Oh, but seriously though, like Scott will get you something. I don't know. Pat on the back.
Hand wave. Yeah.
We have sold. We've sold a few of those jerseys. It's pretty cool. So
they are pretty awesome jerseys, and really Utah's pretty excited about getting a hockey team. It seems to be more buzz for the hockey team than the Jazz right now.
Yeah. You know what? And honestly, we're kind of mid-October right now. I'm gonna announce this right now on the spot. We have a new hat coming out. I know Scott's wearing the one that we just kind of made off the cuff a couple months ago. That will be at Expo, but I have an Expo specific. Well, it probably won't be specific, but the first time you'll be able to get it.
Expo timed. Yes.
It's Expo time. It is like, it's our classic loser kid. But we weren't able to get an all black in the mesh. So it's the same model number, but it's all black fabric, and I'm doing gold. I've already got the prototype. I will post this online probably this week, and we probably need to start getting some. So we don't take pre-order money. The way it is that
tell us you want one.
Yeah, we'll get you on the list, and then before I order, I usually say, hey, this is what's going on, and then but if you want to lose your kid hat, it's going to be that time of year where I take a massive order, and then we either ship them out, or if you're going to be at Expo, I can bring them with me. But I will post all the hats that are available, and I've already showed this black and gold to some people, and it's good. It looks amazing. It looks awesome. Good. It looks really good. So it's that time. Yeah, we've got like. Probably have to put in the order by the end of September, beginning of October.
Pretty soon, yeah.
So yeah, I guess it is time to start posting these on the internet. So yeah, if you want any other gear, silverballswag.com/loserkidpinball, or just loserkid.
Or just messages.
Anything else, Scott, before I do our outro?
No, it's great. We're looking forward to fall coming up, and I really am excited for the new releases. See how they're done. The themes sounds like they're not going to be for me, but I have been swayed on themes. To be blunt, I was not that interested in a Godzilla pinball machine, and you see it over my right shoulder. So it does happen.
Content creator of the episode, I want to shout out Steve with the Pinball Room. If you have not checked out his YouTube, you need to, especially if you're into homebrew and you're looking to make your own game. Steve goes step by step how to make a game for your own homebrew. It's amazing. He made his own Led Zeppelin, and it's amazing what we can do nowadays with homebrew. But if you're interested in that, go check it out. Just the Pinball Room, search it on YouTube, and hit up Steve. He would be more than happy to talk to you about his project, and if you are having issues with your project. So give him a check. If you want to get a hold of us, we are loserkidpinballpodcast@gmail.com. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, X, Twitch, all that jazz, at loserkidpinball. We're also on YouTube, if you didn't know that. If you haven't subscribed, we'd appreciate it. Hit that subscribe button. Other than that, I think that does it for us, Scott. Will you give us our last words for the evening?
Yep. If you want Medieval Madness, certainly get on that wish list, because I'm sure they'll go fast.